Hello, church family, and welcome back to FBC Extra. Tim is here today after a busy month of VBS, and we'll ask him how the children's ministry is coming along. We will also tackle his anticipation of becoming a father and his thoughts on navigating media in our current climate. Let's dive in.
Well, welcome back to the FBC Extra podcast. We have our wonderful children's minister, Tim Helm, with us today.
Thank you.
And two things before we start. Number one, I have my VBS shirt for you.
Thank you.
Just a reminder that if you need to give your shirt, if you have an orange, I guess they're not VBS shirts, they're just children's ministry shirts, shirts.
We did it simple this year. We got just like very generic ones. We can use them at a bunch of different events throughout the year. They're very easy to stand out in a crowd wearing bright orange. I know some people commented on that to me, and I said, hey, if you're thinking through the eyes of needing to see like, hey, a myriad of your volunteers everywhere, kids got to run and grab someone or anything like that, you want to be able to stick out like a sore thumb. So thank you for getting yours back to me.
And if you still have your shirt, he's coming for you.
Yes,
and he's going to come track you down and
find you. I have your addresses because of Alexia. No, I'm just kidding.
But do bring your shirts back. I believe there's a tub at the front of the entrance, correct?
Yeah, I don't know how much longer those will be out there, but people can get them back to me, and we'll use them for future events. So.
All right. Now, why did you pick orange?
Orange is my favorite color.
Oh, so that was
it's a little bit of self-service there, but also, I mean, it just pops. It looks good.
I like it.
Yeah, the shirts where I say it's my mental picture reads actual hand picture. Mm-hmm. I kind of dreamed up the idea of like this paint splash, FBC kids across it, and Reed, he's an absolute wizard with anything graphic stuff that. Gets it from his dad, and so he designed a beautiful design, and so
what's interesting is after we finished up a couple Fridays ago, our VBS was done. Yeah. Me and Jenna went up to her parents' house for the weekend. Okay. And of course, they were doing Spark Studios at their church, but they were doing it in the evening.
Oh, okay.
So we drove up there, took most of the day. We get there about 6 o'clock dinner time, and they go, hey, come to the church. VBS is starting. Yeah. And they hand us the Spark Studios shirt and said, here, come help us out. Yeah. So I went from Spark Studios at FBC to Spark Studios at my future in-laws church.
Even some member was telling me that the very next week their kids were going to one that was at night. It was local, but it was at night as well. And one of their daughters, she got called up on stage, and from reciting the memory verse the very first night from memory, she got a prize. And of course, it's because she knew it from doing VBS.
So you paved the way.
Yeah. Well, we have one of the earliest in the whole summers and stuff. And we're actually one of the only ones left in town. To be honest, I can only think of one other church that has a daytime VBS.
That's right, yeah.
Almost everyone, which I totally understand, almost everyone has it at nighttime because it's way easier for volunteers and stuff. We have a lot just happenstance. We have plenty of both gender, but we have a lot of especially just stay-at-home moms who are amazing, and they make up a huge part of our volunteer base. They're able to be there and stuff. We also, on top of that, we have some people who take some vacation time, all that stuff, which that's above and beyond generous. That is as generous as you could possibly be, and stuff. But we're one of the only ones left that does it in the daytime.
Do you anticipate that continuing?
Yeah, no, I don't see that being any change. One, just because people love it. I mean, people are seriously so thankful that there's still a daytime one left over, and we've just always done that. We're known for that. People know that FBC, we do the daytime VBS, and so it's worked well for us. So yeah.
And then they can always do one in the evening and take what we teach them and win some prizes.
Yes, if you want to go back to back to one, oh my goodness, that would be so crazy. Man, those songs are so catchy. You might just be going crazy with
that's right. In your head. And I have some footage of you dancing as well.
Do you?
Yeah, I meant to send it to you, but I haven't yet. But you were grooving in the back, man.
Yeah, I'm all about we shouldn't be just standing at the sideline. I want to be singing and dancing too and stuff. And so really good songs.
Yeah, and the only difference I saw at their church was they had the official Spark Studio shirts. They went ahead and bought them. They were a light green, and I must admit your orange is better.
Oh, we blew them out of the water? Nice.
Yeah, well, I'm just saying there was light green. I would take the orange.
The reason why we do that, the church historically, and this is way before I even got here, used to actually do the branded shirts every year.
That's right.
But it's just kind of to be honest, it's just kind of a waste of money. Yeah. Our shirts for all of our volunteers was to be honest, was $1,400 or whatever.
Wow.
Like, can you imagine spending that every single year? Whereas with these ones, we can use these for many events. It's not branded like 2022 VBS. We can use it for many events for many years. Whatever volunteer comes through, you know, these people leave the church, but someone else wears a size large or whatever. It's obviously washed and get to them. So
yeah. Well, and the second thing I wanted to bring up, I want to get your assessment on VBS, because I know as children's director, between that and Easter Extravaganza, that's been your big things.
Yeah.
But I want to give you my assessment.
Okay.
I have never been more proud to serve under someone than you.
No.
I just want you to know that, because I had such a blast working with VBS. I thought it went phenomenal.
Wow.
I thought you did a great job. And I know last year you had Rebecca and Sarah Hodnett, and some were, you know, you had some help and you were being ushered into a lot of these ministries.
Yeah.
This year it was you.
Yeah.
You know, this was your show, and I was all week just really hoping that things would go smooth for you.
Yeah.
And you absolutely knocked it out of the park.
So I'll answer this with 2 days. One, that's very kind of you. Second of all, I can't accept that it's the Tim show, though, even though, obviously I came on staff pretty right before VBS last year. And so ultimately it came down to, it was way easier, and I'm so thankful for everything that Rebecca and Sarah did, you know, because they've obviously been champions of leading it for years and years. And so that was huge for me last year. And also, again, that goes to the point of, like, you know, VBS has kind of become a well-oiled machine that thankfully, even though there still was a lot of work, it wasn't like, oh, it's going to run itself. Like, it really was a well-oiled machine. And so I'm so indebted and thankful to, like, literally you're talking to even like schedule designs and stuff like that, map design for where rooms are and stuff that comes from them. And so, oh my goodness, if I had to literally kind of lead the charge on VBS 100% from scratch, I don't know if I'd be alive still. I might not have made it through. And then obviously, oh my goodness, you can't do it without the volunteers. I have to go back and look at the numbers. We had maybe one of our largest volunteer bases this year. We had 70, almost pushing 80 volunteers, which is just amazing. We're you know, able to have great ratios of kind of volunteers to kids. And so, while I'm kind of behind the scenes doing stuff, and obviously there's the hundreds of hours, you know, people don't see leading up to the date. It's completely impossible without those key leaders, those volunteers who were doing all of it. But no, those are very kind words. I appreciate it. I'm just so happy that it went well. You know, obviously, you know, you don't want any kind of incidents to happen. You know, I joked with a few people. This is going to sound kind of morbid, but I joked with a few people. The goals of VBS are that no one dies and that the gospel is clearly preached. That's like that's all you need for an amazing VBS. And so
it's very true.
And we had that. So so it was great.
So what number of kids did we start the week with, and what did we end with?
Yeah, so that's hard to say, only because I can tell you the overall number. It's because, you know, some kids, they come like Monday, Thursday, Friday, some yada yada. So we had a total of 157 registered kids. I think we're averaging obviously around like the 140 a day, but that's because some aren't there every day. I know there was like a random like couple kids was like, oh, well, they were here Monday, Tuesday, they won't be here Wednesday, Thursday, but they'll be back Friday. And so, but total of 157 kids registered, which is really great. I'm really happy with that.
And I was with rec, and I was doing Foursquare every day with the rec kids. And I want to say, when Tim Helm entered the Foursquare, he went ballistic. I mean, he was
but in a good way, ballistic.
He went to the king spot very quickly, and he tore
I
through it. It was something else.
I played some Foursquare in elementary school.
I can tell.
I had some practice. Now, we, of course, when we were elementary schoolers, we kept adding rule after rule to the game, where you can do these type of things, like a cherry bomb or like the invisible or whatever kind of things.
We kept it very simplistic. Yes. Kids were asking me that, but you know, you
I appreciate that little ego boost right there. At the same time, I don't know if that's like the thing you jump up like, I demolished fourth graders at Foursquare.
They needed the humbling. There's no doubt about it.
It was fun.
Well, and definitely the logistical side aside, I saw that you were sort of floating around, and you know, we saw you throughout the day hovering. Did you notice anything you want to mention? Any stories, good things that came out of the week?
Man, there's too many to tell. Man, one of the best decisions of VBS was having Hunter Smith running around.
I was gonna say, he deserves so much credit for what he did for VBS.
Hunter deserves like the biggest shout out ever, because obviously while I'm present there, you know, being VBS director, I'm obviously on stage, I'm talking, I was doing skits with him. Like, that was his brainchild.
Yeah.
Genuinely. I gave him like material, like the curriculum and stuff, like the videos and different things like that, and I asked him to run with it. We obviously met before VBS to just look at things logistically and stuff, and all of the things that you saw that the kids ate up, whether it was like the slideshows, the costumes, the experiments, of course, like all of that stuff, like he put his blood, sweat, and tears in that.
He did.
He planned stuff, he ordered it, he ran so many test experiments. He'll tell you, he was like, I learned almost like proto-graphic design type stuff. I know,
he
like
was
putting
doing
slides together.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, like he did an amazing job, and the kids just absolutely loved that. Yeah, one of the, oh man, how many rabbit trails to go on. One of the really funny things from the behind the scenes was he was coming in for a bunch of weeks and testing out stuff. Yeah. Okay, so everyone remembers the Wednesday science experiment. It was when we did the thing with the dry ice where it like blew up and stuff like that. We had to do that outside, and it was videotaped and shown in the sanctuary because 2 weeks prior when we did the test in the sanctuary, the goal is to put it in a trash can. You have packing peanuts on top of it, and it just makes this cool, like almost like confetti, like poof, cloud when it explodes. We put it in a hard plastic trash can, and it exploded. Like, I'm not kidding. Like, when I say exploded, I'm saying like so many pieces, tiny pieces of hard plastic shrapnel flying
in the main
air.
sanctuary.
Yeah, and I turned to him and I said, we cannot do this in front of children. I said, obviously we want to have fun, but even more important than fun is safety. And so we're trying to figure it out. And what we decided to do was what we did, which was Owen was amazing. He helped us last minute on Tuesday, literally the day before we're showing it Wednesday morning at opening rally. We filmed it quote unquote live. Now the secret's out. It wasn't live. We made it look like Owen runs up with a camera and we're like, oh, we're going to go out the sanctuary doors. And that's where the previous day we started in our costumes recording the video and we go outside, we have it, and it still had the same effect on the kids. The explosion goes, the crowd goes wild, and all of that was a lot of fun. And so, man, just such good times. Anyways, other than that, man, there are so many good things from VBS week. All the teams did an amazing job. Kids, obviously love the recreation and stuff. They love the crafts that we did, Bible missions and music time. All of that was great. Man, I have like 1,000 stories to tell. I'm just so grateful for all the leaders. Just so many amazing things learned, and we had 15 one-on-one gospel conversations. That's 15 kids nice. So how that's set up is like Thursday the gospel was presented in the Bible classes, and then kids can like let their leader know, raise their hand if they wanted to talk a little more with a leader one-on-one about it. Well, we had 15 kids, and so on Friday what we do is we take them out just a little bit brief at a time. We give them all Bibles. We talk with them, we pray with them, and stuff. Obviously I'm not like a person where I'm trying to like kind of sinner's prayer, just like give kids any false assurance. But at the same time, I think Jesus also has indicated us that children should not be hindered coming in. I believe children can profess faith at young ages in Christ. Obviously, even beyond that in the Bible, John the Baptist is indwelt by the Spirit in the womb. So I mean, that's a case of someone being saved from the womb. I don't think that's happened to every child, but it can. And so I love seeing that. I love talking to kids. I love encouraging them. I love explaining the gospel more to them. If they really, if I sense that they really seem to be thinking through and understanding things, again, it's not a repeat after me, but it's kind of like, hey, sometimes people will express this through prayer, and I love hearing them talk to God about that. And, we just pray over them. Lord, we pray that you continue to draw this child to yourself, that you continue to reveal yourself, and then we try to do the follow-up things we can to pour into those kids more. So just a special week, and I'm so happy.
All I'm envisioning is letters going home to parents, hey, bring eyeglasses because plastic's going to be bits of plastic are going everywhere.
All of the necessary. I was telling Hunter, I was like I see, like when I look at anything we do, I almost see it through the potential of phone calls and emails I'm going to get should we do this. And so we always take the necessary safety precautions.
What's your favorite VBS? Because I know people talk about like Boomerang Express and Agency D3. So which one sticks out to you?
Yeah, that's going to be hard for me, and only because I didn't grow up Southern Baptist, so I don't know Lifeway stuff. So it's funny talking to all the youth kids here because they remember like 12 years ago, whatever it was and stuff. The church I grew up at a mega church in Connecticut, and we had themes. My favorite one I still remember to this day was some kind of space theme. I don't remember exactly what it was, but we had this team of people. who did skits every year, and I tell you, like, more than anything else, like, those acted skits were what we looked forward to the most every day, because they like wrote them themselves. They were funny for kids. Like, they always somehow came back to like what the theme was and the verse of the day, but also like the gospel as a whole. And like, man, we loved those so much growing up. But yeah, that's kind of hard for me to a branded one. I'm not sure. I guess we had Concrete and Cranes last year here, and then Spark Studios, and then we've got next year, I think it's called Twists and Turns. There's like a board game, video game theme for next year's. Yeah, that's going to be
your favorite.
I'll have fun with that one. I was already talking to Faith Miller, our amazing designer for PBS.
She did a great job.
Big shout out to her, of course, every single year. She's already dreaming up ideas like for next year, maybe like Pac-Man and the ghosts going down the wall or something like that.
Oh, that would be so cool.
Games. So I've loved the two we've done at church here, at least while I've been here.
Well, I guess that's a good transition to ask, entertainment-wise, you are the entertainment guru. You're always giving me advice on things to watch. So what is Tim Helm watching right now? What do you recommend?
What am I watching right now? Well, of course, I'm always on Disney+. So
that's
we're
right.
Watching the newest Marvel show, Ms. Marvel, and stuff like that, which is actually the first Marvel property that's PG rated.
Really?
Well. Yeah, because all their shows and movies have been PG-13 rated, but it's the first. It's like a high school kind of coming of age, like superhero story. So of course, watching that. Obi-Wan finished like a month ago or so. So yeah, no, I'm a sucker for all the Disney stuff. So yeah.
This brings me to something I've been wanting to chat a little bit about.
Yeah.
Obviously, we have Love and Thunder, the new Thor movie coming out.
Yeah.
It feels like the longer we go along, the more, especially it feels like Disney is starting to put LGBTQ, gay, homosexual themes into their work.
Yeah.
And obviously, as believers, we obviously know our stance on that.
Yeah.
But especially for someone like you that loves Marvel and loves that kind of entertainment, how do you approach it?
Yeah.
And I know that you just did Word from the Pastor on this. I want you to talk a little bit more about that and how you approach it.
Wow. Okay. Is this going to be a 2-hour podcast?
This will be the Zack Snyder cut.
Yeah.
Of the,
oh my goodness.
Of the
like,
podcast.
this
We'll release on Unearthed footage.
Yeah. This is huge. Yeah, I wrote the Word from the Pastor insert like 2 weeks ago, and that was more just a philosophy of entertainment as a whole. It wasn't even specifically, although I'd love to follow that up eventually, maybe on like what kind of content we should interact with and not interact with. I wrote the one recently just kind of on the philosophy of entertainment. Like, what is entertainment? Entertainment is really a means like of escape or diversion, which is not necessarily a bad thing. That doesn't have to be a bad thing. Man, I love Marvel, Star Wars. I love all of these things and stuff. I, of course, love, I like playing video games. And what the conclusion I came to was, is entertainment a means for you to escape life, or is it a means for you to enjoy life? Because I think God has talented so many people around the world, whether it's being producers or artists or any of these things, and we can enjoy that, and we can, in a common grace kind of way, appreciate all these wonderful things God has done, that he has made and made humans able to make. And I think that stuff is fantastic. But of course, if it's a way that you are like, meandering through life, just waiting for the return of the Lord, and like you're just ignoring the rest of life, being absent, really just escaping the world, I think that's wrong. Okay, so back to your question of like how to navigate content and stuff. I think we need to be firm on what we believe. So the Bible's very clear on issues of homosexuality, struggles with transgenderism, all that stuff. The Bible is super clear. And we don't have to break down that theologically right now.
Yeah.
I'm sure most of our listeners probably know where FBC stands and what the Bible has to say about that. So how do we navigate that? This is a really good question, because it's really, in a lot of ways, it comes down to a conscience issue. And I think that, a lot of people, especially historically Baptists and stuff like that, even, I won't name, but even in our own town area and stuff like that, some prominent Baptists and stuff have drawn very clear lines in the sand of like, we shouldn't see movies in theaters, or we should just not see movies at all, or everything like that. And I think that we need to have more nuanced perspectives on things. And again, it's a conscience issue. I think it's going to vary person to person. And I think that that's okay. I think that is a thing we have to be careful in when we are trying to not be judging other Christians. Now, again, we're all in the place where we need to hear from each other and be advised. Maybe someone is watching something that they shouldn't watch, and they need to be pointed in the right direction by someone. But I think, again, this is an area where we need to give grace and realize that some people might just have different standards. I mean, I know some people who, they won't watch shows basically that came out past 1980 because it's like this golden era of like kind of just family driven entertainment and stuff like that. And hey, that's fine if that's what you're into and stuff. I don't think that's the line we have to draw in the sand personally, but again, it's a conscience issue. The key like passages on this are the two passages, the one in 1 Corinthians and the one in Romans on the food sacrifice to idols. I know that sounds like a weird connection. Man, I might be stealing my thunder because this might be a sermon text that I want to dive into in the future. So I'm stealing my own thunder. Yeah. Some people might be getting a sneak peek of a future sermon. But how does food sacrifice to idols apply to this? So Paul talks in those passages about how people are going to the marketplace. This is in like the ancient Greece, Rome, like all those times stuff, to the agora, the marketplace, and they're buying food. And I'm drawing a little of an illustrative picture. He doesn't say this exactly, but it's essentially like you went to a Kroger and you pick up your slice of ham or whatever, and it says this was sacrificed to Zeus on like whatever day. It has the date and stuff like that. And obviously Christians were like getting into, getting a little bit of heart palpitations because they're getting nervous of like, can I buy this meat and sacrifice to idols and stuff? And Paul says, hey, like, that all good things come from God. Like the food that has been provided to you, it comes from God. And so you can eat that in complete reverence and awe of God without being a part of that system and stuff. But then he goes through this thing about like the weaker brother and the stronger brother. Like if you were just like right there, like you brought it out and you eat it and there's a weaker brother who thinks it's wrong. Now Paul's already said he doesn't think it's wrong. But if the weaker brother does and you're causing someone to stumble, right, they're getting confused or they're like, oh, wait, so maybe it is right for Christians to sacrifice to idols? Well, no, that's not what Paul's saying. And so he goes through this whole thing and he says, if it would ever cause someone to stumble, don't do it. If you can do it like in the privacy of your home where it's not going to cause someone to stumble, like that's okay and stuff. Because again, these things are from God. Okay, how does this connect to movies and stuff? I think one, there are like clear standards of probably things that we shouldn't be watching and stuff. Again, some conscience applies to this, but obviously things that are gratuitous in nature, and I'm not going to dive into those specifics. People, know it when they see it and stuff like that. It's better not to interact with that. It's better to always be safe rather than sorry. I think it's also better to not fill your minds with kind of stuff. Some people make the accusation of like, oh man, like there's people who like they won't do anything that has an ounce of like nudity or sexuality and stuff, but they'll watch like The Gladiator, which has like crazy like bloody scenes or stuff like that. Well, obviously, one, I agree that we shouldn't be filling our minds with grotesque, violent things either. I mean, how are we different than the Colosseum of the old days and stuff like that, where people for entertainment literally sat around watching people, be murdered and stuff like that. So again, I think there is a line on that stuff too. I want to make sure I'm being clear. At the same time though, John Piper has a really good article he writes on this where he says that violence can be faked and violence can also serve a purpose. Take like a Save It Private Ryan. That opening scene is so violent, but I have never seen something convey how horrific D-Day was. And I genuinely think that serves a purpose. Like I think there is a time and a place, obviously an age appropriate as well. I think there's a time and place for stuff like that. So he says violence can serve a purpose. Like teaching can also be faked. No one's actually dying. When it comes to stuff like sexuality and nudity and stuff like that, that can't be faked. First of all, it either is or isn't happening, right? Like that's someone's daughter, that's someone's wife, that's whatever, things like that. At the same time, it also doesn't serve a purpose other than sinful purposes and stuff. And so I think there is a genuine difference between those two things. But again, I don't think we should be watching anything with grotesque things. Again, getting back to the food sacrifice to idols. How should we handle this and what we choose to see? Again, it comes back to a conscience issue. It comes back to, the kind of support you're throwing behind something. In my personal mind, and people can disagree with this. In my personal mind, you brought up specifically like LGBT issues and stuff like that. I differentiate movies that maybe contain a reference to LGBT stuff in movies that are about LGBT stuff. Okay. So for instance, I've seen Marvel movies where there have been ones like, for instance, in the Eternals, I saw it in theaters, where there's clearly just a reference in a quick scene where it references that this guy, it's a man, and that he has a husband. Well, obviously, that's wrong. It's immoral. The Bible is very clear about that. This is an immoral thing of the world, and we should not support it. However, it's a very brief thing, and the movie's not being advertised as like, oh, an LGBT movie or things like that, yada yada. It's something that happens in a larger movie, which is about superheroes and stuff like that. When the movie or whatever, I was actually, while you were setting up all this equipment, I was reading the Thor: Love and Thunder plugged in review and stuff, because Thor: Love and Thunder is like one of the first Marvel movies I'm not seeing opening weekend because I need time to evaluate it, because it is supposedly going to have some stronger, again, not sidelines, but stronger LGBT things. I don't know, actually, I didn't get to finish reading the thing and stuff like that, and I have to make up my mind. But again, I think there's a differentiation there between, if you're trying to find the movie that doesn't have a reference to sin, you're never going to see a movie in your entire life. So again, is it a reference to, or is this a movie about this? At which point I'm just like, I'm not interested. Again, the food sacrifice to idols, I'm a Marvel fan. I probably will watch the said movie at home with my wife by ourselves, but that's because we can do stuff like talk about it with each other. We're not causing someone else to stumble. We're not looking like flippant Christians. Like, we do take it seriously, and we do not approve of that stuff, and we don't want that stuff in movies. But I can enjoy, the other 97% of a movie if it has some references to bad stuff. I do want to add in just like the really important caveat that like this whole conversation that we're having, I'm kind of talking about me personally. I didn't know if am I wearing my hat of my like children's director or just like me, Tim, a Christian, a member of Forest Baptist Church. So like, let me add that important caveat. Everything I'm saying right now, I'm talking as an adult and how I kind of filter out in my head like what kind of stuff I should see, what stuff I should visibly support or not support and stuff like that. I would recommend different standards for children. So let me go back to like the LGBT thing and stuff. Like when I was saying like, the difference of whether it has just references to it or is about it, I wouldn't let my kid watch any kids programming that has any kind of LGBT references in it and stuff, because at such a formative age where they're trying to figure out that kind of stuff, and I'm obviously trying to instruct them in the ways of the Lord, I'm going to find stuff that doesn't deal with that at all. And, by the way, let our position be very clear. That stuff shouldn't be present, obviously, in any kind of media, but especially children's type media. So, yeah, let me just want to make sure I'm being very clear, clarifying. So we talked about phone calls and emails before, so I'm not getting any. Being very clear, this whole conversation, I'm talking about standards that me, Tim, as an adult, that I employ. Again, I would be stronger for a kid, though. I want to make sure I'm finding very family-safe content that my children is going to watch.
So as far as support goes,
yeah,
because obviously we have a responsibility as believers to not endorse or support that mantra. So as far as it goes with movies and entertainment, where does the line for support come for you?
Yeah.
Is it, even with like gender bathroom issues, there was a point where we heard people saying, well, I'm not going to shop here,
like
I'm not going to shop there. Is there a concrete line, or for you, is it more still conscious?
So
where's the line for you?
Again, I think it does come back to conscience. And I think that, so one of the biggest things in life is like people, in Christian life, is people who misinterpret what the word legalism means and stuff like that. Legalism, a lot of people just, when they say, oh, well, that's legalistic, they add it to something of just, oh, I don't want to do that. Right? And so because I don't want to do that, or that doesn't fit into my lifestyle, my Christian lifestyle idea, that's legalistic. That's not what legalism means. Legalism either means that you must do these things to be saved, which is obviously heresy. That's against the gospel. Or legalism looks like what the Pharisees did. So for instance, Pastor Tyler, a few years ago, he gave a sermon, I think in Mark, on legalism.
That's
and
correct.
How, say the law says that in your neighborhood, all of the backyards, they go off into a ravine. And so obviously you do not want to fall into the ravine, and there's actually a law against falling into this ravine. You're going to die, and so you don't do that. Now you may decide, hey, I think it's wise for us to build a fence in our backyard. That fence is going to keep us from falling into the ravine. And you might think, hey, this is the wisest thing, and hey, it might even be a good idea if other people do it. But if you say that someone else is in sin because they won't build a fence, even though the sin is just going over the ravine, you are then being legalistic in the sense that you're holding what is your own conscience and decision. You're holding other people to that standard, whereas that's not something. The law wasn't to build a fence. The law was to not go in the ravine. Again, all analogies break down, but I think it was a really fantastic analogy Pastor Tyler gave. Okay, how does that apply to this again? Conscience, I think, is what rules this. What kind of support? People have different things made up in their mind. I know Christians who boycotted Target because they started doing anyone could go into any bathroom and stuff. Hey, we don't shop there anymore. I personally don't really fall into boycott groups. One, because they're kind of ineffective, but two, they're also extremely inconsistent. And a lot of it's just like kind of like a willful kind of like, I'll not look at other stuff. If you actually like go and look at all of the things that every single company on earth, like you can't even get groceries at Kroger. You can't use a Mac laptop. You can't use a Windows laptop. You couldn't use a computer, like all these things. Okay, so what does Jesus mean by when he says we have to be in the world but not of the world? I don't think that means we only shop at Christian retailers. We only see Christian films. We only listen to Christian music. I do not think that's the answer. I genuinely do not.
Because you can't be in the world.
Correct. Yeah. No. Okay. I don't think that's what Jesus means. I think we should be in the world, but again, we are not partaking in the things. Well, okay. So what does it come down to me? I've actually been asked this recently and stuff. My mind is made up on this. Again, that doesn't mean everyone else's has to be. You can disagree with me. You think I go too far, not far enough. I draw the line, especially when it comes to a financial thing, of if I am giving directly to a company's cause for something that's immoral, would obviously be wrong. But I think giving money to a service or a product provided by something that's not directly, like if they're behind the scenes supporting something else, that's one thing. And so let me give you a quick example. Starbucks gives money to LGBT issues every single year. I personally hate coffee, but I sometimes I get like a passion iced tea or something from there. Catherine, my wife, she loves coffee and stuff. Once in a while, go to Starbucks and get something. We are exchanging money for a good, right? Money for these drinks that they're providing.
Gotcha.
But if they are somehow behind the scenes, whatever, doing something like that, ultimately they are going to stand before God of that. Now, if I walked up to Starbucks next week and they have a huge sign on the front, it's got this rainbow flag and it says 15% of your purchase today is going directly to these like LGBT whatever organizations and stuff. I wouldn't do that because that is something that is specifically going to supporting those things, right? Yeah. I'm not giving money because again, you could not track down all of these things and stuff like that. Can I buy a used video game off of person A and I don't know that, they give money to charities and stuff like that? Is my money linked to them and stuff like that? Again, like you cannot cut every single thing out. And so I think there is a difference between I am directly supporting something and I am interacting with a certain good or service provider that also happens to do support immoral things. In my mind, I think there is genuinely a very clear distinction there. Some people don't agree, and that's fine. That is totally fine. Mm-hmm. I don't think that they are wrong for that, and I don't think they should think I'm wrong. My conscience is made up on this, and their conscience might be made up on this. For a movie, again, that might be the difference of whether I see it in a theater or whether I see it at home. Again, because I think there is a big difference in that as well. Whether you're causing other people to stumble, the showing up, like kind of the very visible support of something, and kind of behind the scenes. Again, some people might think that that's disingenuous or being double-minded. I do think in my head there is a clear distinction between those. I'd sum up my thoughts on it like this. If a movie or TV show or anything, it shouldn't be just this stuff because, it's not just like the visual media. This could be a book. This could be a song. This could be any of a podcast you listen to. If something is causing you to laugh at something God has called sin, or to maybe be rooting for something in the story that God calls sinful, or even making you, whether it's your own visual imagination or anything like that, partaking in sin in any way, that's where I draw the line.
Okay.
Right? So if you're watching a comedy TV show, you love it, but the whole thing is based around and you're laughing at literally clearly things that are sinful. Like you're eliciting enjoyment from something that is immoral. That would be where the line is drawn. Again, people got to figure that out. People got to figure out, where their lines are with different things. I always recommend to people, I try to use the trifecta of content sources. There's the IMDb Parents Guide, which is super thorough. There's the Common Sense Media website, which has a lot of information too. And then, of course, there's Plugged In. I think all of those websites have strengths and they have weaknesses. I have watched stuff that one of the three have missed. Usually they cover everything between the three of them, but I almost, before every movie, TV show, I look up on all three of those website stuff, and then I make a decision based on that. And hopefully I'm always making a God-glorifying decision. But yeah, no, I completely understand your questions. These are challenging questions, and in one way it's going to get just harder and harder. I know it's been stark for a lot of people with Disney being in the news about a lot of things recently. I kind of, on one hand, I say to people, like, they didn't change their view on anything suddenly. This is just like people realizing how they've always been and stuff like that. But again, I don't know necessarily that a boycott is the right answer. I think it's just active parenting, especially when we're talking about the realm of kids, and I'm the children's director. I'm trying to talk to that. I think active parenting. I think if anything, this is a wake-up call to parents because of them being in the news. Like, you cannot just let your kid sit and do whatever they want on a tablet completely unmonitored by you. Right? We need to be active parents. We need to be involved in our kids' lives. We need to be training them. We need to, help them learn ownership, but also training that ownership. And so, that's where I stand on this stuff. Again, people might disagree, but that's where I stand.
Back to the children's minister stuff. One of the interesting things that's happened this year is that you came into $200,000 that was donated to the children's ministry, which is crazy, but also good for you to put towards some things. And
we had some anonymous donors who came and oh my goodness, so generous and stuff. And I know they just have a heart for the children's ministry. They want to see specifically stuff. Their dream is obviously for whatever we need. It's designated just to the children's ministry. But they really, and I love their heart, they really wanted to see a new playground facility installed. There's some other churches in our area that you drive by all the time. There's so many families flooding their beautiful state-of-the-art playground facilities, and they have no connection to church whatsoever. This is an amazing gospel opportunity, outreach opportunity. I love that this family is passionate about that. I'm passionate about it. And so we've got some cool designs working up.
I know that we talked last time about security and things like that. We obviously have someone who's been walking around and making sure we're safe, and that I know that's gone a long way for us downstairs during Sunday mornings and Wednesday nights. So what else is going on with security?
Yeah, so in ministry, you can always rate things in good, better, or best. I think that we are doing some things better than nothing, better than other places, but man, I think we also have a lot of improvements that we can do. And so we have a lot of things that are coming out. We have a sticker check-in system that we're finally getting to. I had to get through the VBS rush, and now I'm able to hit this stuff. A lot of people know that. That's where we can absolutely make sure a child matches up with a parent. We also have information like their allergy information, all that stuff. And so the goal is to get that ready for Move Up Sunday, which is the first Sunday in September. And so working on putting that together. We're also trying to get some cameras into our rooms, just extra layer of accountability, deterrence, just helpful things with that. We're trying to get doors with windows on them just so that we have more transparency into all of our rooms. Again, we want our church to be a place, it's not where something never would happen. We want it to be a place nothing could happen. And so we're trying to take all of those steps to make sure that everything's safe around here. And so, I'm, in ministry, you fill many different kind of hats. I'm kind of like a foreman now or something like that. I'm meeting with contractors. I've already met with some. I've got plenty more to meet with. We're just trying to get stuff done. Good, timely manner, good cost, but ultimately serving the needs that we need, future-proofing ourselves for the future. So I'm really excited about it.
Well, and first off, whoever your anonymous donor is, you can let them know my PayPal is at Macros. Just in case. But also, do you know what you want the playground to look like? Are we talking slip and slides and tube slides all over the place?
So that's what I'm in the phases right now. I have to see, because I've never been in a place in my life before where I'm kind of in charge of getting an industrial playground installed, and so I'm like in the place where I'm like, does a playground cost $1 or $1 million? I'm kidding, but I was just like, I don't know, like
which
nothing.
one is it closer to?
And so I'm in those stages. So I don't know, but that's kind of like a stay tuned, and you'll find out.
Yeah, I'm sure you'll get lots of suggestions.
That. I literally actually this morning I've been working on getting information for some contractors and stuff, and so just trying to see what our options are.
Now it's the summertime, so Word of Life has reeled down a little bit. First year of Word of Life for you comes to an end. Any big takeaways?
Oh my goodness.
Year? I mean, I can hear you. I'm in Gopher Buddies with Miss Carol Bolt and Jennifer Irvin. And we can hear you singing along and clapping and chanting Tucker, all that. So you're absolutely killing it down there. You guys are doing great.
We're having a good time. For anyone who doesn't know, Word of Life is our Wednesday night programs that we offer for kids. We obviously have our nursery rooms open, and then you and Miss Carol and Miss Jennifer, you all run the Gopher Buddies, which is the 4s and 5-year-olds, and then we have kindergarten through 5th grade in the Olympians group. And so we have a good time. We have a really good time. We play games, we sing songs, we have a large group lesson with Mr. Tim, myself, then we break into small groups. That's usually during the year. So during the summer, we don't have official Word of Life material or anything like that. But we still do a lot of the same structure. And so it's going great. The first year was fun. I'm excited for what our Wednesday night programs are going to continue to look like. And it's really exciting.
Well, and what's also exciting is someone's going to be a dad here pretty soon.
Yes, you're
this
not
month.
Wrong. You're not wrong.
And I had to rush to get Tim in before the baby was born because I knew I'd never see you again.
It is the day we are recording today. Should I say the day we're recording? It's July 11th.
Yeah.
And the baby is due July 30th. And so we're literally, that's what, 19 days? What is it?
And you have a birthday July 24th, correct?
Oh, no, it's not the 24th. Haha.
Is it the 23rd?
It is the 23rd.
Okay, I knew it was close. Alexio
you're
does
giving
You're
giving my secrets out there. I'm not a huge birthday person.
Okay,
so, now it's
but
out there on the air.
you're gonna get one. But also, there is a chance you could share a birthday with your oldest child.
Yeah, I would love that. So
I want that because I'll tell you what, the Hernandezes let me down. Reed and Maeve really let me down on this one because they had a chance to have Kellen 222-22.
Oh, yeah.
And Maeve just couldn't hang on 3 more days. And I told her, I said, you need to hang on. She failed me. Okay?
Oh, my goodness.
So you guys need to make up for it.
Yeah.
And to have your son born on the same day, that would be great. Because then there's garden catering for both of you.
Yeah, he's due on July 30th, and exactly a week before is my birthday, July 23rd, and they've said the whole time the baby is tracking a week ahead. I don't know what that actually means with the due date, but
it's like a hurricane coming in. It's
yeah,
it's tracking to make landfall.
My dad shared a birthday with his mom, and I've just always thought that would be cool. So some people are like, I don't even want them in my birth month. I want my month to myself. I'm like, no, I would love to share my birthday.
Think of the cake you can save.
Yeah. Oh my goodness, gargantuan cake.
And you're both going to be liking video games, so you can get the same video games on your birthday. everything's going to line up.
Oh yeah, we literally already have the Fisher Price toy video game controller and stuff like that for the kid. Actually, this is I'm going to give a huge shout out to my wife on the air. I didn't even know these things existed, and I saw a picture of they're these cutesy little kids. It's a Fisher Price video game controller, and so I sent a picture to her. I texted it to her, and I was half joking, half serious, but it was kind of haha of hey, we should put this on our registry because she was in the middle of putting it together. Okay, you ready for this? not only did she not just like blow it off or laugh at it or whatever. So one, I was like, oh, she's not even gonna be like want this on the registry. Not only was she okay with it, she already had that exact controller on the registry. I had no idea, like without even this happening, and I was like, I've never loved you more in my entire life. No, just kidding. But I was seriously like, oh, babe, you're amazing.
Oh, man, that's how you know you find the right woman.
Yes,
when
yes.
those
No, it was
happen.
truly a special moment.
Yeah.
I was like, how can you make that up? The exact same one, too, not
Yeah.
even a different company. I was like, this is absolutely incredible.
I have a thing for the baby still have to give you that's PlayStation related.
No, all right. I'm excited. So,
you'll have to tell them next time what it was.
Okay, I will.
But I have to ask, is as someone I'm getting married in November,
yeah,
and I look forward to having that first kid. How do you feel?
How do I feel? Yeah, I feel good. I like, maybe it's like being a little naive, but I've never been scared of like the actual like parenting side. Obviously, I know there's a lot that comes with it. Again, some people might be chuckling to that. But I'm also in like the mindset of like billions of people have done this before me. Like, yeah. I think I'll manage. No, I'm scared for like the day of. Like that's once we get past the day of, like I'm actually terrified of that. Once we get to the baby's actually here, then I'm good. Again, we'll figure out things as it come. But no, I have never been scared of like the actual act of being a parent. It's just what comes before the baby's actually in the world.
Absolutely. Yeah. So how's Catherine?
Good. Yeah, she's good. She's doing well, man. She's an absolute champion. She, we whatever twists and turns we've had during the pregnancy, and thankfully, like praise God, we've had a pretty just great pregnancy and stuff. She is, for the most part, obviously outside of the first trimester, some pains here and there and stuff, she's felt pretty good, and so we're very thankful for that. So yeah, she's very excited. We talk now because we're a couple weeks away of like, man, like we're gonna like meet our son soon, and that's really
crazy.
Yeah, no, it's kind of wild to think about. So yeah.
And you're having a boy.
We are having a boy.
And I don't suppose you're gonna tell me the name.
I will not. No, yeah, we're gonna share the day of the baby is born.
But you have a name picked out.
Yeah, we've had a name picked out since the gender reveal. So we did a gender reveal party with both our families, and we didn't tell them. They don't know either.
So nobody knows this name.
No, literally, Catherine and I, we know it, and so we're.
It's not Tim Jr., is it?
No.
Okay.
I'm not personally. I have nothing wrong with anyone else. Like, there's other people who name the kids Junior. I'm not personally for like juniors or anything like that. And so, we don't have a junior coming.
I'm gonna get you out here. Obviously, the first go round for a lot of you was what biblical vet would you want to see? Well, I can't ask you that again.
Yeah.
So my next round, this time I want to know for myself, getting married in November, and obviously you going through your first child. Yeah. I would like to know how you and your wife met. That's the question.
All right. Yes. No. Okay. So the long short of it is that I'm from Connecticut. She's from all over the place. She's a military kid, born in Germany.
That's right.
She most recently is from Northern Virginia. So August 15th, 2013 is the day that I moved down to Liberty University. It was a Thursday. She had moved down the Wednesday, the day before. And Thursday, we had so at Liberty, they have like brother-sister dorms. It's kind of because obviously there's no co-ed dorms, obviously. Yeah. It's just a way for like certain dorms to be paired up with each other so that you can do events together. Well, we had one right away the first night freshmen were moving in. We played a game of sardines, which is basically like glorified hide and seek in the DeMoss building.
Do you know what you ate for dinner that night as
well?
What
I ate for dinner? I don't know. Yeah. Everything
probably
else is
hot
a blur.
Dogs.
But no, yeah. So the long short of it is August 15th, we were going there. She was in my sister dorm my freshman year. And like I clearly remember seeing her, clearly remember thinking she was like the most beautiful woman I'd ever seen, and just being like, oh, I want to get to know her. So within like 2 weeks, there was like another brother-sister dorm event Saturday morning, like getting up at like the earliest crack of dawn to go out to pick apples, and I was like, oh man, she's gonna be there again, like I want to see her. So I wake up at like, I don't even know what it was, like 6 a.m. We're driving an hour and a half. We get there, she's not there, because I didn't know her at this point, but she was, I don't know if people know, my wife was a collegiate skater. She was on the synchronized ice skating team at Liberty, traveled, has done competitions, some Olympic stadiums and stuff. And so she wasn't there, so of course I'm on this apple picking trip that I don't want to be on now that I woke up so early for. One of my proudest achievements actually there was I bought 3 cases of apple cider donuts, so that was 6 per case, 18 total, and I had eaten 14 by the end of the day already. That's one of my proudest achievements. Anyway, so then it was September 7th was the date of the first Liberty football game in 2013. Man, you literally cannot make this up. People will like think I'm making this up. You cannot make this up. So I'm at the football game with my best friend from high school, his at the time girlfriend. she was down because she was a year behind us, and she was actually being scouted for the Liberty softball team, and she actually did make it a fantastic player for D1 softball. She was down, so we were at the game together because she didn't know anyone else there, and she was obviously dating my best friend at the time, and she was like, oh man, like I'm gonna find you your perfect like Southern Belle girl or whatever, like while we're here and stuff like that. I'm like, very funny and stuff like that. She's like, I'm gonna find her right now in this crowd. You know, we're big college kids or whatever. She's a high schooler at the time, but like being like whatever stupid. Well, she literally leans forward and taps the girl on the front of her shirt, like the back of her shirt, taps her. And Catherine turns around. It's her standing in front of me. And she said, basically, you know, has this ploy of like, you know, I'm thinking about coming to Liberty. Can you tell me what it's like being a girl at Liberty? And she's like, oh, by the way, this is my friend Tim. And I'm like, I'm of course like a doofus, like, like whatever. Like,
she didn't know about the previous encounters?
No. I didn't even realize. I literally didn't even realize that Catherine was standing in front of me, and I didn't even know her name at that point. Like, I just seen her and like been kind of interested from afar. I didn't even realize she was standing right in front of me. And my friend was like, I'm gonna find your wife right now, and taps her shoulder. I cannot make this up. And so we talked for a little bit and stuff. Catherine turns back around. About 30 minutes later, you know, Catherine credits this to the fact that she just takes pictures of everything. She loves photography, but she turns around and she says, hey, you want to get a picture together? So we actually have a picture from the day we met each other.
No kidding.
And stuff. Yeah, and so, and then eventually through brother sister norm, like the guys I hung out with, the girls she hung out with kind of became one big kind of family friend group and stuff like that. We became, you know, obviously more interested.
Well, it was destiny
Yeah,
at that point.
It was
randomly poking her.
I know. And so
football
we
games.
became pretty exclusive, started dating in the spring semester, and
wow.
I already had my mind up then. I was like, oh man, I've already found my missus. I just got to get a degree now in that college. And so, yeah, and then we got married after college. So that's how I met Catherine.
Wow, that's incredible. Cool. Well, Tim, thank you so much for coming back. Obviously, we'll talk to you again. We thank you so much for VBS, for Easter Extravaganza, for all the great events we've had this year. And I guess an early congratulations on being a father.
Yes, thank you.
Insert name here for entering the
if
world.
This airs after, well, hey, thank you, Matt, for having me. As always, you're a fantastic host.
This
is just a natural conversation. I kind of forgot that there's microphones sitting in front of us. So,
Wait, is it a biblical name? Can you at least give me that? You don't have to if you don't want to.
Some part of the name incorporates something biblical. That's all I'll say.
Did that help anybody?
So some part of it, but it's not like the whole thing or it's like a biblical name or whatever. Yeah. People will just see.
Yeah, we'll have to see. Well, Tim, until next time, God bless you, man.
All right, thanks, man.
You can continue to catch up on FBC content as you're enjoying your summer out and about on our YouTube, website, and podcast channels. Pastor Tyler has begun his Good Grief series on Lamentations, and we'll be talking about Roe v. Wade in our next FBC Extra episode. Stay tuned.